Hey guys, welcome back on Four Towers Films.
Doug 218. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Surviving in this crazy, crazy world we got going on.
Hope you guys are doing well too. We are here to recap Survivor Winners at War, Season 40, episode number 11.
11 episodes. Wow. And this one's entitled This is Extortion.
You'll see why later.
Stay with us. Okay, as
he was actually kind of funny.
And you'll find it funny when we get into this. We recap the previous episode of everyone pulling out their advantages and immunity idols, and Tyson going to extinction.
Yeah.
Again.
Jeremy's not too happy about.
No.
I don't really blame him because he's basically saying that he was being used as a shield.
Yeah.
Which he's a big target.
And
he's a good shield for the rest of them. And it's kind of like, it kind of went against what Tony had been saying all along, is to keep shields ahead of you so that they don't target you, they target them instead. But now you just got rid of one of your biggest shields kind of thing in Tyson. So now they're going to come after you. You're some of the bigger fish left on the island now.
And so, now Jeremy's like, I saved myself because I figured if I didn't, I was going to end up going. And because I left, his buddy went. And then he's trying to talk to Ben about, because I'm not the biggest target here. Don't think of me as the biggest target.
But for some reason, a lot of them do. They seem to think Jeremy's a big target. Well, I would think, Tony's a pretty big target.
Out of the two of them, Tony'd be the one I'd pull the trigger on.
Over Jeremy,
Over Jeremy. Because he is sketchy as heck.
And if you've watched his previous season, he does tend to go and sneak, and he sneaks, as you've seen even in this season. He eavesdrops, he's gone off and found idols, all that kind of stuff. So, not saying that they don't see him as a target, but they seem to think Jeremy and stuff like that are bigger targets than him. And I think maybe because he's got a lot of friends.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of placing the social game almost higher than their physical game, or they're even the strategy game almost.
Yeah.
Not to say that Jeremy doesn't have that, but they seem to think that he's a better social player than Tony is.
So he tried to work his magic with Ben, and Ben wasn't having any of it. It was the closest thing to a cold shoulder I've ever seen on this.
Well, yeah, because you can kind of tell when they're not really with you.
Yeah.
Because they don't really listen, or they'll be like, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet.
Or they're doing
kind of like that.
They're doing the...
Yeah. You can kind of, and I think he knew. Jeremy knew that the target was now kind of on his back, really.
And what was
now that Tyson's gone.
So next morning, we're getting Tony's voiceover talking about, when I first came, I had to play nice. This
is the night before. This is the night of Tribal.
And he's and it's early morning. Everyone's asleep.
Well, it's early. It's before dawn. Because it's still dark out. Well, you hear the over, later on, as you've seen, but then it shows what he's talking about, and it's dawn. It's the night of, or after the...
Oh, it's getting there!
It's true.
So he's saying, you know what, I had to... Hey.
Hey! Go ahead.
So he's talking about how he... when he first came, everyone was used to him running off, finding idols, this and that, and other thing. He's like, now, the wheels are off the cart, so to speak. Now I got to start looking.
Well, because he's saying now's his time. Because he didn't want to leave. Can't talk about all winners here.
Exactly.
So they're watching for that. So, at this point, everybody after they come back from Tribal is usually really exhausted. And so they sleep heavier. So that's when he got up before everybody else, before dawn broke, and went looking for an idol. Well, as the sun's sort of starting to come up, Nick also woke up and went and followed him and found him while he was looking for an idol.
Tony was like, dude, Like,
but
really?
he can't say that to
Yeah.
him, but that's kind of how he was feeling.
So he's like, so Tony, he tells him, okay, let's look. We'll both look together, but we can't both look in the same area.
So he actually sends him in
Back.
the area where he's already looked. So, like, around where they get their water, he's already looked there.
Smart.
Oh, yeah. Nick doesn't know where he's looked.
And
and of course he finds one.
He finds one. So he's as giddy as all heck.
Mm.
Okay, then we jump over to
Edge of Extinction.
Edge of Extinction. And what was funny is, like, they're all talking about how they're dealing with this. Some will can deal with it better, and some it's going to really bother them for a long time. And like Tyson's going, and Tyson's saying, I think it's going to really
bother Adam.
I
don't know. I guess he's kind of sensitive. He seems to take things a bit personally.
And so while all this was talking, Natalie and Parvati found this clue.
They're kind of looking for wood and stuff like that.
And they found this clue.
Well, they found a bottle, and I think Natalie is like, there's like a wine bottle on the beach, And so they went and picked it up, and there's a clue inside the wine bottle.
And so, basically, they had to go looking for. It was like quite an ornate clue, but it's basically
like a riddle.
Which
I figured out.
Basically, they had to look under the bed.
Which and it's funny. Natalie was saying everybody's always there all the time.
Well, yeah,
and, they're always sleeping, whatever. So it's really hard to get in there. So it's funny. I don't know. At one point, there was a really pretty sunset, and so they all actually left to go look at the sunset at the beach. And so Natalie went back and looked and found the clue. It was stuck under the bed.
And the funny thing about this, though, she grabs Parvati. They go and read this thing. It was called the Extortion Advantage. Now, the idea is they could sell it to a player in the game to prevent someone from competing in the immunity challenge and from voting at tribal.
Mm-hmm.
With disruption and acquisition of tokens in their agenda, the women set their sights on
Tony. Now, basically, if they gave it to Tony, he'd have to agree and buy the, basically freedom from this extortion kind of thing, or else he would actually not be able to play in the immunity challenge.
So they said, okay, our fee is 6 tokens.
Right.
So he's excited in the morning, like he's like a kid at Christmas.
He found something in his bag.
And so, he doesn't see, and this is what a lot of them don't do. They don't unroll the thing all the way.
Well, he just started reading and he thought, because that's basically what they've been getting from Edge of Extinction is actual advantages for them. This is a little different.
And then, he thought...
So he thought he could extort somebody. Not that he was being extorted.
He's like, this is, in the real world, this is criminal. You can't do this.
Remember, he's a cop.
He's a cop.
But he's like, at first he's like, I wouldn't do this in real life. And he's laughing as he's reading it. Oh, yeah, he's all happy until he realizes it's himself that's being extorted. Then all of a sudden it's really funny. His face just falls. And then how he now interprets it. And he's kind of like, oh, this is criminal. And it's like, a minute ago you were happy to get this.
Exactly.
Until you're the one being extorted. So, but he didn't have 6 tokens. He only has 4. So he
3.
needs... I thought he only had 4. He got 2 more tokens. Because he first went to Sarah for extra tokens. But if you remember, she used hers for her advantage that she still, I believe, has.
And she gave him a story of, well, I bought an advantage for if I'm ever sent back to Edge of Extinction. And it's like, well, how much did it cost you? 4 tokens.
Well, she said it was like an advantage in the competition to get back in the game. Yeah. So he believed her. It cost her all her 4 tokens. And then
he went to...
I think he went to Jeremy. Asked Jeremy for a token.
He went to Jeremy.
Jeremy gave him one.
But he also said... He
wanted to pay him back.
He
And then he went to Nick.
and Ben as well, and Michelle.
Oh, maybe it was Michelle, wasn't Sarah. Sorry, it was Michelle who said she didn't have that she got the advantage instead.
So he managed to come up with what he needed to pay the extortion.
Mm. So he's okay. He can actually play in the immunity
He can actually
challenge.
Well, and this dude,
and he can vote because he loses vote to vote too.
And so you'd have to be impressed. He really hustled
and
to get.
This is why he's a bigger threat than Jeremy.
Because as soon as he more or less got this extortion letter, they more or less got news that, okay, we're going to be leaving for the challenge.
For the immunity challenge, and he actually had to get it before.
Yeah.
Before the challenge, so he had to hustle.
Because he didn't
have a lot of time.
So basically, the immunity challenge was something they've done before. They had to balance on a beam, big long stick, and hold. It looked like a chess piece almost.
Yeah,
like
it looked like a pawn. Yeah, a big pawn.
And
with the pole, balance the pawn on against the pole.
And at certain time increments, probes would say, "Okay, everybody move." Blah blah blah.
Further back from it.
So
which is harder.
Yeah, well, for some of these guys, they're big guys, And Kim was the first to drop,
and she's one of the tallest, if not the tallest girls there.
Exactly.
So.
I honestly,
I think it's because she was adjusting.
Yeah,
and even the slightest move.
Oh yeah,
is going to make this thing fall. So.
Well, and plus the post that the pawn thing that they're having to balance, it's got like an edge, so you're trying to keep it on that.
It's sitting on like an edge, yeah.
So Kim was the first to go. Then, while transitioning into the second stage, Denise, Michelle, Sarah, boom.
Pretty quick succession.
Pretty quick. Then it was Tony, Nick, Ben, Sophie, and Jeremy. Now, as you watched it, you kind of thought, and I think we thought, like, Tony was wobbling a bit, it's like, maybe he'll go,
Some of them were pretty solid, and they ended up dropping.
Like, you agree, Jeremy was, like,
pretty solid. And Ben was pretty
solid. But Nick and Sophie both dropped next, so it's down to Ben,
Tony, and Jeremy.
And
then Ben dropped.
And Ben.
And it came down to Jeremy and Tony.
And well, we kind of thought that.
And
it kind of looked to us that Jeremy kind of went.
Well, it looked like he stopped off, not that he lost his balance.
Yeah.
Like it looked like he just kind of
threw it.
He just kind of, that's almost what it looked like to me, that he just kind of stopped off. It didn't look like he started to wobble or anything. It looked like he just kind of, anyway, that's how it looked.
Yeah.
That he almost like handed it to, because even it looked like the ones that were sitting there, it almost looked like, what
the hell?
Kind of thing. Like, I'm wondering if they thought the same thing.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it looked like.
So
Tony won.
Won again. And so Kim's kind of going, I'm kind of glad he won, because now it's putting a bigger target on him.
But it also makes it hard to get him out.
Well, exactly. Because so now Kim's willing to work with the other side. She's got to be careful,
Well, because she actually wanted to work with Jeremy, I think Michelle, and I think Denise is on that side. But now the problem is she's hearing there's more people on the other side, like Tony and Sarah and Ben, I believe, and all that, and Sophie, that they're talking about going after Jeremy, and so she's thinking, well, he really only has Michelle. That's what it comes across like. He really only has Michelle on his side, because it sounded like Denise and Ben and that were
willing to pull the trigger on him.
With on the other side, were willing to get rid of him, kind of thing. And so she was kind of like, okay. However, when you started to kind of see them talking, it was kind of like, well, maybe that's not necessarily the case, that there's more people who'd be willing to kind of go after.
Well, Ben got thrown out. And so it was another mishmash of names getting thrown around. Jeremy got tossed around. Ben got tossed around. So
did Sophie.
Sophie got tossed around. So Tony's sitting pretty. Like
well, he's got immunity anyway.
And then he's going, you know what? I want to cause some chaos. I want to flip things up. I want to get rid of Sophie because she's close to Sarah.
And as you know, even the last time they played, they were pretty close.
So
they played together the first time.
His idea was, just before Tribal Council, he went to Nick, Jeremy, and Michelle and said, "This is what we're doing. Look." And went to Jeremy and tried to sell him on the idea.
Jeremy didn't seem convinced that they were even going after him. He thought he had assurances that he was
everything was cool. Yeah,
and Tony's like, "Trust me,
dude.
Denise and Kim are not on your side. They're gonna write your name down." And he's like, it didn't seem like he believed it. And he's like, "Trust me." But if we do this, then we can get rid of Sophie.
Exactly. So I think he still
went. Sophie as an idol.
So Nick agreed with the whole thing. Yeah, we'll go for Sophie, and but Kim and Denise, like you said, he was still trying to play the whole idea with Jeremy. Jeremy didn't seem like he was buying it.
Even all the way to going to Tribal Council, it didn't seem like, of course, what we see is obviously not everything happens, but it didn't seem like he bought it, and that they would turn on him, kind of thing. So it went to Tribal Council, and unlike the previous couple, they weren't all whispering, and that's obviously the plan set. You know? And which is basically even what Sophie said. Everybody obviously feels comfortable because nobody's talking and whispering kind of thing here. So they pretty much know what they're going to do, at this point.
And it was the idea of, well, how did it feel around Kim? Very quiet.
Well, yeah, because...
Very quiet.
Tony obviously was going around talking, to people and stuff, but there wasn't a lot of other that you could
back
see.
And forth,
At least that it appeared. Like, Denise and Kim when they went to get water and stuff, they talked, and you'd see that, but it wasn't the normal kind of scrambling.
The mad dash
that you would see.
So Jeff says it's time to vote, and no idols were played. Remember this.
There's a few people who have idols.
Remember this. And so with the votes cast and no one deciding to play an advantage or an idol, Jeff read the names out. So it went, Jeremy got 3 votes. Michelle got 3. Sophie got 4.
So Sophie got eliminated. And I think she was surprised. She goes, I got an idol in my pocket.
I think this is the second time she's left with an idol in her pocket.
She won the last time. I think she played more than once. Sophie, I don't remember if she's played.
Double check, guys. Let us know.
I don't remember. Some of them have. A few of them have.
So as she's leaving, as everyone's done, well, except Tyson, because Tyson didn't have any tokens to give away. Sarah gave all her tokens to Sarah. Sophie gave all her tokens to Sarah and Kim.
Mm-hmm. Because she's saying 4 votes. So she's deducing who voted for her.
Yeah.
And she knows Sarah's is
solid.
Her out. And,
So
So that's who she gave them to.
It looks like the ladies are done with Tony, and like what we saw for the next episode.
I kind of think they've been done with him for a while, I'll tell you the truth.
Well, the thing is,
they just haven't targeted him yet.
And that's the thing. If you're done with him, y'all got to unify and get him out.
Well, the last 2 weeks he's won immunity, so it's kind of hard to target him. I mean, they don't know he's got the immunity idol, and if they actually play it right and you don't let him know he's the target,
he
might not play it, and you could still get rid of him. But, you actually have to target him. Because right now he's about your biggest target, and I think he knows that. So
So he's either going to have to win every challenge that he goes into, or be able to talk enough BS to swerve enough people to keep, to cover him, to keep him safe.
Or keep finding an immunity.
Yeah.
Once he uses one.
The thing is, some people have done really well and they've managed to talk themselves into like darn good positions, and some people can't. Do I think Tony can do that? He's too manic. In this game, he's too manic.
Well, considering this isn't an ordinary game, they're all winners.
Yeah.
And some of them have played, like, you have at least two of them who played with them before.
Yeah.
Both Jeremy and Sarah played with them before. So it's a lot harder when they're all winners,
Exactly.
that kind of thing. So they're kind of aware of different
of what kind of
tricks
shenanigans,
and, stuff like that you could do. So he's very kind of like, if you remember, even on his season that he won, I mean, Sarah was constantly having to try to keep him calm.
He's like one of those wind up monkeys that, just he'll go around in circles and you can't. Like you said, you got to focus him.
But he focuses enough to be able to win. I mean, he's not playing really that much of a different game this time as he did the original time.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just adjusting it kind of to who he's playing with. But other than that, it's still very much a very similar game.
It's almost like he's playing fast and loose with how this is.
He's adaptive. Because before he'd go out and look at idols and usually find them. This time he hasn't done that. No. But he's still hiding and eavesdropping, which he did the previous season he played.
Well, it looks like in the video package for the next week's episode,
he's up a tree. Usually he finds a bush or under a bush or he builds something. Now he's up a tree.
Up a tree.
So we'll see how that goes for him. But if he's not careful, he's the next big target, really, if you think about it. So he's going to have to be careful with that. But anyway, it was a good episode.
Well, it was very good.
This season's actually been very good. Hope you are enjoying it. If you are, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when we upload every time Survivor airs. And we hope you guys are staying safe during all this.
Stay safe, stay well.
And we're glad that you're here with us during this time, and we'll be here next week too. And hope you will as well.
Gotta go now?
We do. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.